This is the Sabbath School lesson for the fourth quarter, 2021.
Lesson 5 from the series Present Truth in Deuteronomy is titled The Stranger in Your Gates. It's ready for teaching on October 30, and I'm Percy Harrold. Tuesday, October 26. For you were strangers in Egypt. Therefore love the stranger, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. Deuteronomy 10, verse 19. What is the message to ancient Israel here? What should the message from this verse be for us as well? Centuries earlier, the Lord told Abram in Genesis 15:13, "Know certainly that your descendants will be strangers in a land that is not theirs, and will serve them, and they will afflict them 400 years. Also, we're going to look at Genesis 17, verse 8. Also, I give to you and your descendants after you the land in which you are a stranger, all the land of Canaan, as an everlasting possession, and I will be their God." And Acts chapter 13, verse 17, "The God of this people Israel chose our fathers, and exalted the people when they dwelt as strangers in the land of Egypt. And with an uplifted arm he brought them out of it." This is, of course, what happened, and in the early chapters of Exodus, the dramatic story of their redemption, as we've just read in Genesis 15:13 above. Let's read that right now again. "Know certainly that your descendants will be strangers in a land that is not theirs, and will serve them, and they will afflict them 400 years. And for salvation in Exodus 14, verse 13. "You, in your mercy, have led forth the people whom you have redeemed. You have guided them in your strength, in your holy habitation." Salvation from Egypt has been recorded for posterity, a symbol, a type of the redemption and salvation that we have been given in Christ Jesus. In this verse, the Lord wants them to remember where they had been and what they had been, and that was strangers in another land. In other words, remember when you were in the margins of society, outcasts, even slaves, and thus at the mercy of those who were stronger than you and who could abuse you, and indeed often did. And though Israel was a chosen nation, called of God, a kingdom of priests in Exodus 19:6, though there were some differences between them and the strangers among them, especially in regard to religious services, when it came to human rights, the stranger, the widow, the orphan needed to be treated with the same fairness and justice as the Israelites expected for themselves. Read Matthew 7, verse 12. How does the verse encapsulate what the Lord was telling ancient Israel about how they were to treat the weak among them? Matthew 7 and verse 12, "Therefore, whatever you want men to do to you, do also to them, for this is the law and the prophets." This admonition to Israel about how they were to treat outcasts was not by any means the norm in the ancient world, where outcasts could be treated in some cases no better than animals, if even that well. In contrast, Israel was to be different, a light unto the nations, and yes, that difference would be found in the God whom they worshipped, how they worshipped him, and the whole religious system of truth that God had given them. Yet their kind treatment of the marginalized could have been a powerful witness to the world of the superiority of their God and of their faith, which in one sense was the whole point of their existence anyway, to be a witness to the world of their God. This lesson was read by Dr. Percy Harrold for Christian Services for the Blind. Sponsored by the Sabbath School Department and distributed through Hope Channel Australia, this podcast is also redistributed by Hope Channel Germany, Christian Record Services for the Blind, and It Is Written. It is also available on SoundCloud and through multiple podcast distributors, including Apple iTunes. Remember, God is always faithful.